When students struggle to hit their marks, the blame is usually placed on a lack of intelligence. But when we analyze struggling students, we find that 9 out of 10 failures can be traced back to a random, broken daily routine rather than a lack of cognitive ability. An average student relies on a chaotic loop. They wait for a burst of motivation, study randomly, and burn out quickly. A top performer removes emotion from the equation entirely by following a structure that ensures the work gets done whether they feel inspired or not. To build that structure for yourself right now, you need 3 things: a standard black pen, a blank piece of paper, and a standalone alarm clock. We are going to map out an exact operational blueprint from 5 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. Relying on motivation is a high-risk strategy because feelings fluctuate. By installing a rigid 21-day system, you make the daily work unavoidable until discipline becomes your default state. This circular dial represents your new 24-hour operating system. The process begins with the power start, which highlights this 2-hour window from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. At exactly 5 a.m., you wake up. There is no snooze button. To enforce this, place your standalone alarm clock entirely across the room, forcing you out of bed to turn it off. Over the next 2 hours, you follow a precise sequence. First, hydrate and complete 5 minutes of light stretching to increase blood flow. Second, spend exactly 20 minutes reviewing yesterday's notes. Third, use the remaining hour and a half to tackle your most difficult subject, usually math or science, while your brain is completely rested. Next, we move into the deep study zone from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. You will structure this time using a simple 50-10 ratio, 50 minutes of intense work followed by 10 minutes of complete rest. You will repeat this cycle for the entire 5-hour block. This zone requires 2 strict constraints. First, every single device must be in flight mode to cut off all external notifications. Second, multitasking is banned completely. You will focus on exactly one subject per 50-minute session. Every time you switch between a task and a notification, your brain leaves behind attention residue, making it harder to focus on the next point. By eliminating these switches, you allow the brain to encode information into long-term memory more efficiently than someone with a higher raw processing speed who is constantly distracted. By locking down these first 7 hours and ruthlessly eliminating digital distractions, you acquire and retain more knowledge before lunch than the average student processes in an entire week. Looking back at our timeline, the next phase is the smart break from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. You use this time to eat a healthy lunch, disconnect from your desk, and take a mandatory 20 to 30-minute power nap. That nap is a necessary cognitive reboot. It clears the short-term memory cache in your brain, preventing the heavy fatigue and sluggishness that typically hit students in the mid-afternoon. Fully rested, you enter application mode from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. During this 4-hour window, you must completely stop reading textbooks or highlighting passive theory. Instead, your singular task is active problem solving. This is when you complete mock tests, grind through practice questions, and aggressively target the specific topics where you scored the lowest. Average students spend their afternoons passively rereading the same notes, creating a false sense of security. Top performers spend their afternoons testing themselves, actively exposing their weak points so they can fix them. Shifting your entire afternoon schedule to active output forces your brain to retrieve information. That specific retrieval process is the exact mechanism that converts memorized theory into the ability to perform under the high pressure of an actual exam. At 6 p.m., all academic work stops. You transition to the body and mind boost for 1 hour. You must engage in physical exercise or a brisk walk. Elevating your heart rate flushes out physical tension and clears out the mental static built up over a day of intense study. Looking at the timeline, the night consolidation block from 7 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. completes our 24-hour cycle. You will use this time for a light revision, winding down, and a strict lights out by 10:30 p.m. But before you sleep, you must execute the most critical task of the evening, writing down your exact study plan and specific subject targets for the next day on your piece of paper. By making all your scheduling decisions the night before, you eliminate decision fatigue the next morning. When that 5 a.m. alarm rings, you don't have to think about what to do. You simply wake up and automatically start the next cycle. Look at the 24-hour schedule you just mapped out on your paper. You now hold the exact operational blueprint used by the highest performing students in the world. The math behind this system is straightforward. If you force yourself to commit to this rigid structure for exactly 21 days, the initial friction disappears. The forced discipline converts into a permanent automatic habit. This chart shows how daily habits scale over time. Improving by just 1% every day creates an exponential growth curve that results in a 37-fold increase in performance after a single year of execution. To hold yourself accountable, go to the comments below and type the word START. Then set your alarm clock across the room. Your first cycle begins tomorrow morning at exactly 5 a.m. Sustained academic performance is the direct result of executing a reliable, engineered system until the daily work becomes effortless.